Hello guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the Carolina Hurricanes and their surprisingly great start to the NHL season. Now, while we're still pretty early into the season, it's pretty much just the first week of the season. The Carolina Hurricanes are currently the number ranked team in the NHL, and while they played 4 games more than a lot of other teams, they still have that to their name. They're currently the best team in the NHL. Now, while it is early in the season, there's been quite a few good players that nobody really expected to do all that well. Quite a few great teams that have come off to great starts that really nobody expected. For example, you got the Chicago Blackhawks in the first place of the Central Division, and for the Carolina Hurricanes, they're currently ranked as the number 1 team in the NHL, which, while we're still a week into the season, is a big surprise. Now, an argument against them right now is they're one of 3 teams in the NHL that have played 4 games for the season. So their numbers are a little bit inflated, of course, because they have played a lot more than the other teams, and of course they got more experience so far. So while they've made the best of their opportunities and they've won some games here, they still have played the most games in the league. So you gotta take that into account. But the Carolina Hurricanes leading their division right now and leading the entire NHL in points. It is impressive from them so far what they've been able to do, what they've been able to accomplish. And while, again, we're 4 games in the season, it's very early, they're looking to set a big first impression, and they're looking to be very, very good for the next couple of weeks. Now, it does depend on what happens here, but 4 games in the season, they've impressed me, and they've impressed a lot of other people. Now, I predicted them to just miss the playoffs. I think I had them like 92 points or something like that. I had them at a pretty decent record. Not good enough to make the playoffs, but I still expect them to be a decent team in the regular season. And so far, they've shown some great strides with their offensive capabilities. They've done excellent in that category and have been one of the best in the NHL. Now, when we look at the Carolina Hurricanes, I don't think really anybody expecting them to be the best team in the league right now on paper. So, how are they really accomplishing what they've done so far? How are they able to be the best team in the league 4 games into the season? Well, for one, they've scored a ton of goals. They're currently second in the league in goal scoring, right behind the Toronto Maple Leafs, who have 20 goals. But the Carolina Hurricanes at 17 were right behind them. They've been scoring a ton of goals lately in the past 2 games. They've really made a name for themselves with tons of offensive capability and tons of offensive performance from guys like Svechnikov, Aho, really stepping up. Now, we're going to go through their points leaders. Now, bear in mind, this is through 4 games in this season, so while it is a little bit inflated, a lot of these guys have had an excellent start so far in this season and are looking to have a very good year. Sebastian Aho currently leads the team with 6 points. He's looked fantastic in the last couple of days, getting a ton of goals, getting a ton of assists, and he's looked great so far. You also got Jordan Staal with 5 points. Surprising start from him. Again, I think he has better capabilities than what he's been showing in the last couple of years offensively, and he might start to see that this season. If he's going to have a big year, this is a great year to do it for the Carolina Hurricanes. I got Michael Ferland, who was acquired in the Dougie Hamilton / Noah Hanifin trade, which was a big piece for them. 5 points so far. He's looking very, very good. They also got rookie Warren Foegele, who has scored or has gotten 4 points so far. He's looked fantastic. He scored 3 goals. And last year in the AHL, he had a great year. And I'm looking for him to have also a very good year. While I don't expect him to be in the Calder race, I do expect him to have a solid year for the Carolina Hurricanes. Of course, they also got another rookie called Andrei Svechnikov. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's scored 4 points so far in 4 games. He's looked great. And of course, he's scored a couple of goals in the last couple of games. So he's been a big contributor also to the Carolina Hurricanes attack. And for the last big guy in the forward group, of course, got Teravainen, who has looked very solid again this season. And the defense is also contributing quite a lot to the team. Of course, Dougie Hamilton has made a big impact for the team, and we've seen a lot of great stretch passes, a lot of great passing in the last couple of days for the Carolina Hurricanes in the last couple of games. Now, their leaders right now are Slavin with 3 points in 4 games. He's had a great start so far. You got Dougie Hamilton and Justin Falk tied with 2 points, which both of them have been big contributors so far. Now, of course, going into the season, pretty much the biggest worry for everyone looking at the Hurricanes was the freaking goaltending. Of course, you got Scott Darling and Peter Mrazek, but before the season, Scott Darling was having a great preseason, but then he gets injured for a couple of weeks, and he's still out right now, and the Carolina Hurricanes claim McElhinney, which so far has been a pretty good idea for them. Now, of course, claiming McElhinney off of waivers from Toronto was a great move so far. He's played 2 games, has a 2.00 goals against average with a .930 save percentage, and again, while he's only played 2 games on the season, he's looked very, very good, and with Toronto, he was a very, very good backup last year. So I can see him having another good year with the Carolina defense behind him, and honestly, I feel like McElhinney is in a good spot. If he gets sent down, that would be a problem for him, but so far, he's impressed me. Mrazek, on the other hand, has not been the greatest. He's gotten 2 games. He's had a 3.5 at 3 goals against average with points, 8.41 save percentage. Yeah, they might have to rely on McElwain for a little bit longer. The goaltending is in just such a weird place for the Carolina Hurricanes. Of course, they had Darling and Mrazek, 2 guys that are fringe starters at best, I'd say, and they had both of them coming into the season. Now, Darling is injured, they got McElwain, and now he's performing well, and Mrazek isn't anymore. Honestly, it's just such a weird situation for Carolina that they're going to have to deal with in the next couple of weeks, because they got to cut someone here. McElwain has impressed so far, so is Mrazek going to get cut, even though they signed him in free agency? It's going to be a weird situation for Carolina, and one that might have to be resolved in the next week. And while Carolina has been scoring a ton of goals and been able to win that way, it won't sustain. That can't last. We've seen that with the Toronto Maple Leafs so far. They've been able to outscore their opponent a lot lately. But defense wins championships, and defense over the course of the season is needed. And I feel like for the Carolina Hurricanes to really have success this season and to really keep this streak going, they're going to have to define some goaltending, and they can't rely on scoring 8 goals per game. And yes, while it is nice to score 5 goals per game for the Carolina Hurricanes, that's been a good game plan for them so far. Throughout the course of the season, they're going to need to find some goaltending, and they're going to have to find a little bit more defensive pressure here. And while the defense, I think, for Carolina is fantastic, they're going to have to be a little bit better. And the goaltending, I think, will need to step up. The Carolina Hurricanes truly want to be a playoff team like the offense has shown so far. I certainly have no doubts about this offense anymore. They've truly proven me wrong on how I think they would have missed Jeff Skinner. They haven't missed Jeff Skinner so far. He's looked okay in Buffalo, but so far their offense has really stepped up. Guys like Aho have been put into a big role. Svechkov has looked fantastic so far. Justin Williams keeps rolling, and guys like Stahl are coming back better than ever. So for the offense, I think it's fine for right now. We'll see how it goes throughout the course of the season, but they've already shown to me that they can prove that they're worthy of being a pretty good team. Offensively, I think they got it set. And again, for Carolina, it just comes back to goaltending pretty much every single time. I like McElwain, but he ain't no starter. I feel like for Carolina to really have success throughout the whole season, they got to find a guy. If Scott Darling is that guy, he's got to perform. If Peter Mrazek is that guy, he has to be better. And for McElwain, if he somehow becomes their starter, he's going to have that longevity and, of course, not get injured. For Carolina to have playoffs and to maybe have playoff success, they got to find some goaltending, and they got to find it now. Now, for Carolina, their next 5 games aren't the easiest, to say the least. First, they play Minnesota in Minnesota. I don't expect Minnesota to make the playoffs, so that might not be the hardest opponent there. But then they face Winnipeg in Winnipeg. That's going to be a tough matchup, especially when you play in Winnipeg. Then they play Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay, which again, another hard opponent there. Then they play the Colorado Avalanche. They get a home game there, which is huge for them. And then they play the Detroit Red Wings in Detroit. So you have some winnable games, but also some very hard ones. So for Carolina, getting to this hot start is definitely a huge thing for them to make the names for themselves, to be able to get into relevancy and hopefully make the playoffs. Again, getting to a big start is huge for a lot of teams. If Carolina can continue this, even if they had a pretty hard schedule, if they can continue the winning, if they can continue to do the great play that they've had already, I see no reason why they can't go for the first half, being pretty proud of themselves. So far, they look good. They can find some goaltending. Watch out for Carolina, because they might be a very good team throughout the whole year. And while I like the Carolina Hurricanes, I really desperately want to see them make the playoffs. So for this, so far, it's been great to see them have success so far in the 4 games of the NHL season. Again, while it still is early, if they can keep this going and make the playoffs, that would be a great story to see Carolina and Carolina's fans finally have something good to cheer about. So for Carolina, it's weird to say they're the best team in the league right now, but they made the names for themselves, and if they can continue to get this going, they can continue to get wins, I'd be pretty happy to see Carolina at the top at the end of the season. But I also want to hear from you guys. What do you think about the Carolina Hurricanes' great start to the NHL season? Being first in the league, they've already made some impressions throughout the NHL, so I want to hear from you. Did you expect this, and did you think they could do it, and what do you think of their season so far through 4 games? But that's going to be it, guys. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you like and subscribe again. Tell me down below what you think of the Carolina Hurricanes and their hot start to the NHL season. And I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.